In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your best food photography photo and make it into a graphic design project. In this case, I'm going to make it a recipe, but you could also make it into a menu or an Instagram post or something else. Basically, I'm showing you how to place photos, place some text, and how you arrange it will ultimately determine what graphic design project you're turning in. So first, I've opened up Illustrator. This is Illustrator. There are some tutorials on how to use Photoshop. This one is Illustrator. I'm going to make a new file, and I'm going to make it, I want to do a recipe. So I want room on the left-hand side for my photo and on the right-hand side my instructions. So I want this a horizontal orientation, and 11 by 8.5 is just fine. Depending on your project, it might vary. You need to sort of think about how much room, what orientation you want, and so on. So the first thing is I'm going to place my best food photography photo. So I'll go to File, Place, navigate to that photo that I want, and place it. Now in Illustrator, it comes up with this little icon here. I can click and drag to sort of tell Illustrator where I want it and how big I want it. Now, this photograph is by Dinah. Thank you, Dinah. It's a lovely photograph. And if you need to crop your photograph, on the right-hand side, there's Crop Image, and just say OK to that. And then you can drag these little things. Now, this recipe is going to be about Danish sugar cookies, so I'm going to crop this so that I have a little bit more focus on the cookie. But of course, you can decide how you want to crop it. Click on Apply, and now I have a lovely square photo. So now we just sort of decide how we want to place the text. Of course, you have to find a recipe. You could use your own or find one online. I'm going to go over to Google here, and I have found a Danish butter cookie recipe here. So I'm going to, first of all, we need a title. So I'm going to, remember in Illustrator, there's two ways to use the type. I can just click and it puts in a little bit of lorem ipsum, and I'm going to say Danish butter cookies. Of course, this is too small, right? So I'm going to select it. And here, I don't know, let's see, about 36 is great. Now, you, of course, can find a font that you like. And maybe you might have to adjust the size. If you would like to find a special font, remember dafont.com over here. Dafont.com is a great place to find interesting fonts. All right, so now I want to add the recipe on the right-hand side. And also, of course, this white is a little bit boring. I think what I'll do is I will make a different color background. So in Illustrator, you find your rectangle tool and draw a nice big rectangle over the whole thing. Fill it with, I think I want a nice sort of creamy sugar cookie color. That's great. And then I can go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. I can also go to the Layers panel and, adjust it. Just click and drag where you want it that way. Okay. I also want to show you where you can get, let's say we want some little icons. If you go to dafont.com, and you look over here to the Dingbats area. Dingbats is basically a font full of glyphs or little icons instead of letters. So there's nature. I believe there's a cooking one in various or a baking one in various. So let's say you look, here's some ice cream icons. Maybe this one might be nice, coffee icons. So I'll download that and go into my Finder. If it's a zip file, you just need to extract that so that you can get it, and double click on it and click on the install. And that will allow you to put some little icons into your picture, if into your recipe if you would like, or into any other graphic design project. And it just works like any other font. So if I were to go here, and maybe I'll make a little text box here, I'll find the coffee, it's alphabetical, so it was coffee dingbats, coffee icons here. And let's say I'm just going to delete some of these, and just so that I have maybe the cup of tea that I want, because cookies and tea are great together. Just keep deleting the ones I don't want, and maybe I'll copy and paste this one so I have like 3 of them in a row to make kind of a cool little graphic down here, make it look good. But you can just sort of play around with whatever would work well for you. Okay, so now let's get the recipe in here. I'm going to click and drag an area where I want my text to be. And of course, I don't want my icons. I'm going to go back to a sort of a simpler font to contrast with my title font. And then I'm going to go to Google, and let's see, we need the ingredients list. So I'll copy this, just Command C, and paste this. Much too large, so I'm going to select all, go back down to probably more like an 18 point. And of course, these are the ingredients, so I need to title that ingredients. Maybe I'll make this one a little bit bold. So if I click here, I can go to bold. And then I will just continue going back and forth between my recipe. Here are my instructions. I'll select all of the a little bit too much. Just select the instructions and copy and paste and keep going. Now, if I notice that there's maybe a little bit too much space, you know, I don't want like a bunch of empty space. That will not look good. Just going to click and drag here, click and drag this here. And let's say my text just sort of goes down to the bottom. Remember, you can always just crop or change the artboard. In Illustrator, here's the artboard tool, and I can just move this up, move this over, so then I get a much better looking artboard. And in Illustrator, in Photoshop, you would use the crop tool. And then you can just move the artboard to fit. And you can imagine that once you're done, you've added your instructions and so on, you have a nice recipe card that you might find in a cookbook. The only difference if you're making an Instagram post is the size, what you're going to put on it, and so on. So hopefully you can imagine how to do that on your own. And if you need help, call your teacher over. We'd be happy to help you.